So Ram, take me back to the fall of 2019. What was going on in your head?
So just before signing up, so actually, probably from to go back a bit more, 2018,
Hmm.
that's kind of where I really started getting a bit serious with training and all this kind of stuff. So I managed to get a hold of P90X. Um, Obviously, that needed some like equipment, some dumbbells and all that kind of stuff. So I started buying some of the lighter dumbbells like 5 kg, 8 kg, 10 kg. And after a while, I was, oh my God, I can't keep buying like individual dumbbells because it's taking up too much space. So then in 2019, at the start of 2019, I managed to get the adjustable dumbbells and got rid of the individual ones, which was pretty good. And that paid dividends because in the COVID year, like the prices of those just like more than doubled. So I was like, quite lucky I did that. Um, but yeah, so why did I sign up with you guys?
Before you
So
before
I
you do
was,
that, tell me
yeah.
what triggered you to sign up? What was going on in your head? Talk me through the mindset of what was going on in 2019 as to why
Ah,
you thought I need to make a change now.
so I'd kind of been getting there slowly. So I had 2019. So 2018 I started training a bit more seriously, and 2019 I started looking at my nutrition a bit more seriously. So I
Hmm.
did start, doing my meal preps and uh, using calculating my calories and all that with the online calculators and all that kind of stuff. But it's fun. I wasn't really getting anywhere. I didn't really know how to make any adjustments when I needed to make, or when even to make the adjustment. Um, I think I might have got there in like another 10 years. But I was like, oh, I need to like, kind of speed this thing up. Um, so actually, I was like, I was seeing the pictures on like the Facebook groups of everyone's before and afters. And it was really impressive. But I'd been seeing that for quite a while. But scumbag brain was like, nah, it's not for you. Um, I don't know why I thought that. I think it just I don't know. I was seeing everyone's pictures. I was like, oh, these guys are like really incredible, and they're like Indian. So and well, obviously you read the caption, and they're like, oh, these guys are kind of like me as well. They got office jobs, and the Indian parents, they eat junk and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know why it didn't click for me to like inquire earlier. And then I saw someone's before and after pictures that I knew in real life. Um, that's when I like started inquiring with you. I was like, oh yeah, um, can I do it with just the adjustable dumbbells at home rather than gym membership? Um, and then before you replied to that email, I saw the golden ticket Instagram post, and then I just signed up immediately after I saw that. I didn't even wait for your reply. I just hope for the best kind of thing with the adjustable dumbbells. Luckily, it was all fine anyway. But yeah, it was after seeing that guy that I know. After seeing his pictures, I was like, okay, this is a guaranteed thing for me.
So the people, for the listeners who don't know, Ram won the golden ticket that we put out at the end of 2019, which gave him a free photo shoot with Escort Visuals, which he completed a couple of months ago, earlier in 2021. So it's been quite the journey for Ram, and from just that impulse golden ticket on that day in November has led to quite the remarkable transformation. But Ram, I want to dig in a little bit more as to what was going on in 2019 before you embarked on this journey. I mean, you mentioned sort of who you saw, what sort of posts you were seeing, but what was going on in your head? Like, why did this trigger anything for you? Why was seeing someone getting into shape triggering something for you? What was your like, I need to do something about this? And what was going on in your head that year? Like, because you said you were 96 kilos at the time.
Yeah,
What was
well,
happening?
97, yeah.
Yeah, 97. What was happening then? How did you get to that point?
So this was a bit of a longer process. Might need to go a bit further back.
Yeah, yeah.
So so in 2009, I started my own like dual drumming group, which is an Indian drum. So we basically pay out like tons of weddings. So 2009 was our first like big year for weddings. And what I meant is like most of the summertime would be at weddings, and it'd be quite dangerous because all we're doing is we're on the road, we're just eating like junk wedding food all the time. And slowly over the course of the years, I was like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, bigger. And then come probably 2015, there was a lot of other kind of issues going on, where I just always like kind of felt down in the dumps. But then the flip side, it was like I was leading two lives almost, because you know, I'd have my wedding kind of outgoing personality, but the real personality, I was like, oh, don't know, can't be bothered. Don't know what I'm doing with my life and all these kind of things. And I had like a real scary moment where I found myself, it's kind of like staring at train tracks. When I was just like waiting for the tube to go to the work, I was like, oh, I could do this, man. I could do this. No one would even care. And all these kind of like freaking crazy thoughts. But I luckily snapped out of that. I was like, right, in 2015, I need to do something. So I started like researching, and it was like, yeah, exercise kind of helps with general, you know, being happier kind of thing. And 2015 was also my brother's wedding. So both those kind of things combined, I had a bit of a deadline. I was like, right, try and do something to get away from that mindset, really. So then I did Insanity leading up to my brother's wedding, which was all great and all that, but it was like crazy hard work. But once I started doing that, I did start feeling better, and I was like, oh, okay, let me just try and carry on with this. So since then, I was kind of doing like a lot of like home workouts. I did try the gym earlier, like I got kind of turned off by the gym. One, because when I first signed up, they gave me like a PT, like you get three sessions or something, and all he was trying to do is trying to sell me like a bloody pyramid scheme. So I was like, oh, all right, no thanks to PTs, because I just assumed all PTs would try and sell me a pyramid scheme. But then I didn't have any plan for the gym either, so it's like get there and just look at whatever machine is free and do a bit of that. I never track anything. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just stopped going. So it's just a waste of money at the gyms for me. That's why I kind of resorted to, let me do like the home workouts. So that's why Insanity and P90X, all that kind of stuff was like, I found it worked for me. But yeah, that moment in 2015, I think that was my trigger point to be like, all right, let's start doing something, because this is definitely going down some scary roads.
What were some of the issues that you're facing that led you to consider what you're considering?
Yeah, it's I don't think there was any like one thing. It was like probably a build up of like a lot of little things. I can't like attribute it to like this one thing gave me these thoughts. Mm-hmm. I think one thing was like stress just from like work. I remember the job I had at the time was like, it was pretty intense. And I was always like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired. It wasn't the case at all. But I don't know, that was the kind of stuff that was going in my head. And even before that, I always found myself kind of like out of sync with people. So what I mean by that is, if I go back to like 2008, 2009 time, just turned like 18. Everyone's really into like clubbing and going out. I tried that a few times. I just found it wasn't my jam. I was like, this is not for me. I don't enjoy this at all. But then when people would ask me, I'll come out, and I'd be like, nah. They'd be like, oh, you're so boring. You're no fun at all. And like, all these kind of comments. And obviously at the time I was like on the offensive, like, nah, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not boring. I'm fun. And then, but then this kind of thing you think about like late at night, that, oh, maybe they've got something there. So it's like a kind of build up of all these kind of issues, like being out of sync with everyone, work stress, even like with drumming. I was having such burnout because on Monday to Friday I have my office job, and then the weekends would be early morning Saturday, late night Saturday, early morning Sunday, late night Sunday, and then back to work. So, and that was like for months at a time. So it was like build up of like all this kind of stuff. You get all these other stress, like my parents like, oh, find a girlfriend. I'm like, all right. And then, yeah, it's like even with bad like eating habits and all that kind of stuff. Like one of my jobs, like we used to go for beers and eat out like every single day at lunchtime. Obviously, that doesn't help your weight. And then um,
It's like a
is
culmination of things. Yeah.
yeah, it was not yeah, exactly. It wasn't like any one thing particularly, but it was just build up of
You reached
all
like a
these
breaking
little
point.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what happened between 2015 and 2019 then? Was your weights, were you at 97 kilos in 2015 and you sort of held it for 4 years, or were you
So
yo-yoing, or what was going on between those 4 years?
so I wasn't really like I didn't measure at all,
Okay.
but I know that after I did like my first kind of exercise program, I did lose weight. Just because I felt like oh my clothes and all that kind of stuff is like fitting better.
Hmm.
Um, but then I was probably a pretty constant around that time. And then yeah, I don't know why in 2018 I just decided, yeah, let me try and make a go of this on the training side at least. Um, but yeah, in terms of like scale weight, I I never really ever measured it until you guys
Okay.
asked me like, what was your scale weight? I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. So with regards to, you're having all these issues that you were accumulating in 2015 and in the build up to that, did you feel like you were still carrying it long after? And in the past year, have you been able to shed some of those demons? Like, talk us through that mental process there, because as we've spoken about before on different podcasts, is it's the muck and it's the devils that cause overeating and poor lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
And shedding, when you're shedding your weight, a lot of it is also shedding a lot of your past. And you've obviously shed nearly 40 kilos, which is no easy feat at all. So there's probably well, I'm assuming you've had a lot of mind games going on about potentially revisiting the past or revisiting a lot of these lifestyle choices. Have you been able to put to bed a lot of these things, or are you still finding a work in progress, or where are you at with that whole journey? Because this is ultimately the crux of what you've done in terms of your change.
Yeah, it's an interesting one that I think with obviously with COVID, like I've not been out, I've not been like we've not been living our normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd like to say, yeah, I've kind of put these things to bed, but we'll see when the world opens up kind of thing. I definitely feel like in a better mental state now. Um, but I don't know if there'll be like when we start doing weddings and all that kind of stuff again, like if it will trigger things. I feel like I want to say, yeah, I will be able to just not go back to, not revert to all those kind of bad habits. But that remains to be seen, I think.
Do you understand what I'm asking on the point with regards to, like, when you take away the food, like you have done for an extended period of time, by taking away the food, I mean put yourself into a deficit. When you're so used to eating a lot of food, that's where like you have to sit with those urges of like, oh, do I want to eat that food, or should I reach for what I was eating for before? How have you battled that? Because that's such a difficult thing to do when you're so accustomed to having a certain amount of calories each day.
Yeah, so probably I like I said before I signed up with you guys in 2019, I did kind of make this choice to like stop eating the wedding food. And I actually used to take my own meals to two weddings and eat them there. Um, Obviously, it's like when you're in the deficit, like in a deficit, it's obviously just for everyone. I think it's like you want to reach for more food. But yeah, then it was about figuring out like what kind of stuff keeps you full, right, and just keeping your mind off of food. Um, so there was a bit of a learning curve there in terms of what are the best foods to kind of keep you fuller for longer, and yeah, when you do start thinking about I'm hungry, it's like oh how do you deal with that? It's like oh let me just go for a walk instead, or just have a glass of water, and all these kind of like tips and tricks. Obviously, it wasn't like I wasn't 100% perfect the whole time.
Yeah.
There was definitely times where I was like, let me just grab something quick. But then, like after you do that, it's like, well, what was the point of that? That's not really helping anything. It's not. I'm not by having extra food outside of my meal plan, it's not helping me get to my goal faster. It's extending it. So what's the point?
Yeah. Did it bring back any of the stuff for you?
I don't think so. I don't think it did.
That's surprising. Yeah.
I just noticed that it was really easy to do in like settings. So like when I was like stressed at work, I was working long hours. I found it was so easy to just reach for some junk rather than like my own like prep food. I was like, oh, this is a quick fix.
Yeah.
Compared to, let me have a meal I've got in the fridge waiting for me. So that was quite interesting with the stress. But I think over time that's got better. So there has been like other times where I've been stressed at work, but I've still managed to stick to the plan.
So when you started the process, obviously you've done a lot of different exercise programs before. You tried to lose weight before. How did you find diving into the specific RNT journey?
One, I was quite excited to be on like a tailored plan. That was quite nice. I felt like, oh yeah, this is specifically for me. It's just always easier when someone tells you, all right, eat this, do this exercise, do this cardio, do so many steps. That is like way easier than trying to figure it out yourself, right? And obviously everything is it's like a trial and error. Like CTP, when you guys like give us the macros, these are like best guess, right? Based on like our weight and height and whatever info we have to give you. And I kind of like took that approach of like trial and error. Is even after CTP, it's like, well, find what stuff works for you and what doesn't work for you, until you like find like what does work for you. I think that trial and error process is pretty important, and I was open to the idea of making mistakes.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to be like stick to it 100%, because it's the only way you learn, really.
What were some of the mistakes on reflection? What were some of the mistakes that you feel like you made?
It was like kind of food choices. So it was like when you're like creating your plan, you're like, oh, I do like chocolate. Let me try and fit more chocolate in, but then that doesn't keep you full. So then that if it doesn't keep you full, then you'll end up reaching for other stuff later on in the day and all these kind of things. So it's about trying to get the best out of your calories, basically.
Yeah. Did you find it relatively straightforward to keep consistent with the process, or did you find the fact that this time you were focusing on so many different elements like lifestyle, mindset, nutrition, training all at once? There was an overwhelm sense. How did you manage that such a drastic change in so many different aspects?
I didn't feel like it was too much too soon. I was like, okay, it did feel like quite natural to jump into it. Obviously, there were some things where you like, for example, steps. I wasn't on like 20K steps straight away.
Yeah.
But the idea of like starting slow and building up, that was like, I found that like really helpful. I'm sure everyone does. But that kind of broke down the all or nothing kind of mind that I'd had before.
Yeah.
Whereas like, if you don't do this exercise for 1 hour straight, then it's like a failure. Whereas this was like, all right, just take it easy, mate. Well, not take it easy, but it's build up to it rather than jumping in that deep end. And if you fail, then that's the end of that.
As you started building momentum, I know you said you'd never measured before, but I'm assuming you hadn't been anywhere near the shape you're in now. Getting into your photo shoot. How do you feel in terms of when you look at yourself in the mirror now compared to before? How do you feel adjusting to being nearly 40 kilos lighter in your day to day? Talk us through that, because it's an incredible change, and I can only imagine just how different it all is. But try and describe it if you can in words.
I think they're like looking at myself. Obviously, as I was getting lighter, I was like, after like every exercise, I'll be like, oh yeah, the packs are coming. They weren't coming, but you'd make believe they were there. I don't know. I think there is a bit of like an identity thing where it was like I still believe like I'm that fat guy. Even on the photo shoot day, I was telling Sanj, I was like, oh, Sanj, I need like another 2 weeks. I don't think I'm ready. And then Sean was showing me the actual photos as he was taking it. I was like, that's not me. Who's that? I mean, and then even just like when in the build up to the photo shoot, there was like just like getting all my steps and all that kind of stuff. Like when it was like windy days, for example, I'd feel like it was pretty hard to walk on a windy day because I was getting a bit blown around by the wind, which is something I'd never ever experienced before.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I don't know, I think I still feel like I'm that old person. This was quite well, I made this kind of a conscious decision like that first week after the photo shoot in consolidation, where obviously like you can relax a bit on the food now. The food, like the calories and all that kind of stuff, increases a bit. You're coming up to maintenance. But I found it. I was reaching for a lot of junk when I shouldn't have been, and I had to stop myself and be like, "Hey, you're not that guy anymore. Don't do
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
But that was like a conscious thing I had to do. Like, I had to tell myself, "This is not you. Well, it's not you anymore. That was you like
Mm.
2 years ago."
Well, that's one of the hardest things. Like when you go from, let's say, 90 to 60 or whatever the change is for people, your brain takes a while to recognize and rewire itself to 60. It's for
Yeah.
so long, it's still programmed at 90. And your behaviors, like you said, the automatic behaviors, when there's no photo shoot there, when there's no deadline in mind, when there's no dieting in place, you revert to default, which is why rebounds are so common. Because if you go by what your brain tells you, your brain will tell you to eat like a 90 kilo person again and do all the 90 kilo behaviors. But you're trying to rewire and almost fight against it consciously, like you just said, in order to embed this new identity, this new day-to-day behavior, and this new way of thinking and approaching your health and body composition.
Yeah, exactly that. It's you do need to check yourself basically.
Yeah. Have you got
So
any other
it's
examples
like
of just like holy crap, I didn't realize I did that, but I better not do that now.
I think it was so like obviously everyone else in my household they just eating whatever they want to eat. But like my parents, they have like tea and biscuits for breakfast, and they'll just leave the biscuits on the table in the kitchen. And when in like during the process phase, I used to like actually go and put it in the cupboard because I was like, if I see it, I know I'm gonna have it. So like one of my like kind of things to do was like, let me just clear up. But then like the first few days in consolidation, I did find myself like reaching for it and not putting it in the not like I wasn't putting the biscuits back in the cupboard. I was just like, let me just have one.
Yeah.
Let me just have two. Let me just have three. So I did that for 1 or 2 days, and then I was like, you stop, just stop now.
Yeah. Well, how do you see your journey unraveling next in investment? Where are you sort of placing yourself? Do you want to build muscle? Are you looking to just learn how to live this lean lifestyle now? What are some of your longer term goals now with regards to your health and fitness?
So yeah, I'm in the kind of muscle building mindset now. So I wasn't too attached to like my photo shoot leanness. I was like, okay, this is temporary. As I increase calories, I know that I'm going to lose some definition, all that kind of stuff. So I think that helped knowing beforehand what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because obviously as the weeks have gone by, it's like you notice that you're not as like shredded as you were on that day. But obviously all the food is like nicer now. Well, the more calories and all that kind of stuff. I've got a gym membership now, which is quite nice. It's a different environment to working out at home. I feel like I push myself more at the gym because at home I had to like be careful not to drop anything and like break my floor with the dumbbells. And like a lot of the like kind of good habits that I've been working on in process of like waking up like at 4 a.m. and all that kind of stuff. I'm still doing that, but obviously I've got a lot more energy in me. So it's so easy for me to wake up at 4 a.m. now and get to the gym. Yeah. Whereas I don't know, it was a bit hard work in the process phase, trying to wake up at 4 a.m. on low energy.
Yeah, so you're going down the muscle building route then. Now that you're kind of in your investment phase and looking to build some muscle into your frame.
Yeah. I think I've got a few years of muscle building in me. I'm not that old yet, so I think yeah, I don't really have any reason to stay lean. And it turns into like where can I take myself? Like how much more can I do? Because
Yeah.
getting to like photo shoot lean, that's an achievement in itself. But then like once you get there, it's like, okay, well, what's next? Yeah, either you can stay there if you don't want to really do more muscle building. But I was like, well, I've got time. I've got the energy and all this kind of stuff. So why not?
How's the reception been from your loved ones in a circle? How have they seen your transformation journey unravel?
That's tricky because I haven't really seen anyone.
But even your immediates, right? The people you live with,
Yeah,
people that you see at work. Even I mean, I'm assuming you look different on Zoom now than you did 2 years ago, right? So, or a year and a
yeah.
half ago.
So with the work colleagues, my camera's always off because I don't know. I'm never groomed properly. I'm never dressed appropriately for work meetings. So it's just camera off. At home, my mum has been basically saying I should have stopped like a while ago. She's like, nah, you don't need to. You're slim enough now. You're slim enough. You're slim enough. Even like the day before my shoot, she was like, "Do you want some biscuits? Do you want some crisps?" I was like, what the fuck, man? So my mum's not really been too helpful on that, but my brother and sister-in-law have been quite good with like telling my mum to like be quiet, this kind of things. I put a few like my before and after pictures on Instagram. Had a good reception from there. Few people were actually quite inspired, and they've started their own like kind of journeys now as well. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. That's quite a nice feeling. They've done it just because they saw like my photos. But I think that's the way it goes, right? Is if you see someone that you know personally do this, it's more of an incentive for you to do it as well. Whereas if you see someone like just a random person, you don't really know, you don't know what their lifestyle is, you don't know what they've been like. For some reason, there's not that like trigger to say, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah.
So I think there's with like social media, you also don't know who you're reaching and who you're inspiring. Not everybody's gonna come up to you and say, "Oh yeah, thanks. I saw your picture and I started my own thing because of you." That's like something I learned like a while back as well. When I was like in my younger days. So my mom's a nursery teacher, and she asked us to like do some drumming at her school's international evening kind of thing. Me being a teenager at the time, I was like, oh, why do I have to do this? This is lame. I ended up doing it anyway. And then like years and years and years later, one of my students, she like admitted to me like, oh, I saw you at that performance at that school on that day. And that's why I started drumming as well. I think it's kind of like a similar thing. It's like you don't know who you're inspiring, especially with social media. You got like hundreds of people that have access to these photos. You don't know who you're inspiring, and I think that's pretty awesome.
How do you think the physical has been the vehicle for you?
I think there is that's the 100-mark question. I think you do like a lot of like learning, right, as you're going through your journey, and this kind of bleeds into all your other areas in your life. You might not. It's not always like so apparent. So, like for example, patience. Like my journey, like since starting with you guys to my photo shoot, it was like a year and 3 months or something like this. So there's definitely I've learned patience there. But then that patience also applies to when I'm like dealing with idiot people at work. So I think there's a lot of things you do learn which do bleed into other areas of your life.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I feel full of energy. I'll tell you that. I might not come across as like all bubbly and stuff, but I feel like I can go for a run at like any single time of the day. Maybe that's just because of all the extra food. But like I said before, waking up at 4 a.m. now, he's waking up 4 a.m. right when I was in the deficit. there's like a massive difference. It's just so like easy for me to do now. I just feel so positive now and really full of energy.
And what do you want to do with everything you've got, all the energy and positivity you've got now?
Yeah, this is a, this is a question. Um, yeah, I think, well, in terms of like physique and all that, it's like, yeah, let's see what we can do in the gym. Um, I've been practicing doing a handstand as well, just for the sake of it, because I can. So I think like trying things like that and trying to spread like this good, healthy lifestyle kind of message to everyone I can. A lot of people are, you know, they are like, I've got a lot of friends which are like, I'm with this PT and I'm with this PT, blah 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 blah, and but yeah, they're asking me how I
Yeah,
do things. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, what's the point of your PT really? um, so yeah, it is quite a good feeling, but feeling I'm just happy to help anyone that wants to ask me anything. Yeah, I feel like a new person really.
Awesome. What sort of changes are you going to make in your life then?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to, like I said, we'll see
Still in
when
that
the world
process.
opens up.
Yeah.
We'll have to see when the world opens up how things evolve. But yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. But like, if because most of my journey's been in COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously this is not really
We're pretty much out of lockdown in the UK.
uh well,
Everything here is open. Yeah.
everything is open, but like for example, weddings is a big thing for me, and we're just about starting to get up and running with those again. So we'll see how that goes in the next few weeks. But yeah, I mean, like I said, working out, getting up at 4 a.m. every day. These are like reading. I do like a lot of reading now, which I didn't really do before. Um, yeah, I just need to really think about what I want to do now that I've got all the energy
The
and
opportunity
I
is
find
endless.
and all the time as well, right? Because
Yeah.
I think in the process phase, like, all my time was going into steps. It was just like constant steps. So I wake up really early, get some steps on, do my workout, do my cardio, work, lunchtime steps, um, back to work, after work steps, dinner steps, and sleep. I just felt it was like crazy. But now I'm waking up early. It's like the same time. I don't need to do as many steps.
Yeah.
So
But it's one of the
I've
best
got
ways
some.
to kind of get yourself organized. Is you're when you get yourself into the shape of your life, you have to do so much stuff, and then once you're consolidated and you're coming out of it, you suddenly got an extra 2 hours in your day, and you're like, I've got all 2 hours a day to do whatever I like, and I can put it to good use and use all these newfound energy and positivity to do some remarkable stuff. So you're in that beautiful period where once you kind of crack on to what exactly you want to do, the sky's the
Yeah.
limit.
Yeah, exactly. I need to like figure this out. What am I going to do with all my extra time now?
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Can't complain. Can't complain.
So, Ron, what would you say to someone at the start of their journey now, who is potentially in a similar position to you, who's got a lot of weight to lose? They're 30, 40 kilos away from being in the shape of their life. Um, they've tried a lot of things in the past, and they've been through some difficult periods of their life, and they want to finally make a change. What would you say to that person right now?
Um, I would say keep just reminding yourself fat loss is temporary. Like that, it might feel like you've got a long way to go, um, but you're not going to be doing this for the rest of your life. Fat loss. These kind of affirmations, and I think affirmations get like a bad rep. Like if you tell me like, oh, why don't you use affirmations? I think, oh, what do you mean? Like saying you are loved and good things will come to you and all that kind of stuff. But you can have like specific like weight loss affirmations, like fat loss is temporary. One I like to use, which is a bit of a negative reinforcement for myself, because obviously everyone's their own worst critic, is don't be a dick. So when it comes to um, like cheating on your plan, cheating on your exercise, like keep saying, don't be a dick, don't be a dick, don't do it, mate. Um, that's not for everyone.
Yeah,
That's
why would you tell yourself that?
um when you get the urge to kind of like cheat on your plan, or not do your steps, all these kind of things. Like I say, if you find that negative reinforcement works with you, I would use it. It worked for me.
Did you find it a bit punishing though?
Not really. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was punishing, but it is. Again, it's how do you respond to like kind of almost self-criticism, right? Because you are your own worst critic. You'll be like so hard on yourself, but then if somebody else is kind of going down the same road, you're not going to be as hard on them as you are yourself. So I think if you can handle it, like, you know, use that negative reinforcement to stop yourself from doing these things. What else? Weigh all your food. I think a lot of people have said, oh, after I've done it for like a week or so, I can eyeball it. And like for some things, it might be all right. So like vegetables, like if you're having like extra 5 grams of vegetables, it's not like the end of the world, but extra 5 grams of like peanut butter and things like that, this can cause some issues. So weigh all your food like every single time. I'd say try and find some like short-term motivations as well. So what I mean by that is, obviously you've got your why, your long-term like motivation, but you know when you're trying to wake up at 4 a.m. and it's cold and dark outside, I'm not thinking about, oh, I want to help change Generation and a Half and all this kind of stuff. I'm thinking I want to get back into bed. But like if my alarm is like the Stone Cold Steve Austin like soundtrack, his entrance theme, it's like, all right, this kind of stuff like gets me going. So try and find like what works for you in like that in that sense. It's the same thing as like when you work out. Like if you've got music when you're working out, a lot of people like hip hop and grime music because it's a bit like aggressive, and just helps them in the gym like to get in that kind of frame of mind. Just like try and find all these things that work for you, and use them wherever you can.
What was the big why that you kept underpinning this whole journey with?
So mine was about, and is still about, trying to course correct like generational health. Actually, since I've started, so my brother has two kids, so I've got 2 nephews, and every time I was like doing a cardio or like yoga or stretching or steps or whatever at home, the kids would try and copy me. I thought that was like really amazing. So like in the evenings I was doing like steps in the house, they'd just follow me and they'd be like turn it into like a fun little game. And the days that I was tired, they'd be like, hey, get up, let's go, let's start doing steps, let's do running in the house. So they would like motivate me as well, sometimes. So definitely is kind of working. We'll see if they remember that in like a couple of months.
You said course correct. Have you seen a lot of health issues in your immediate family, or?
Yeah, I think it's interesting if you think like, well, in my family anyway. So my grandparents, obviously, they came over from India and Kenya and all that kind of stuff, but they were like laborers. So when it came to like food, they would need all the high calorie foods. They'd eat like loads of butter in all their food, and they'd seen like a lot of hard times, right? So I completely get why they would want their kids to not be like ever going hungry and keep feeding. But then obviously once they came here and they weren't working as like on the farm and all this kind of stuff, they kept on eating all these kind of buttery foods and all this kind of stuff. And then they did end up having like a lot of health problems because of mainly their diet. I think with my parents' generation, so my parents, they've taken on a lot of what their parents were doing in terms of like nutrition. So they're still eating like quite a lot. They're a bit better, but they are still, high on the butter, on the chapatis and all that kind of stuff. then I think my generation, we're getting better. We're a bit more conscious of, and we're a bit more educated on what are the better food choices and things to do. But it's not like a clear-cut shift. Like everybody in my generation is, or the majority is, like living like a healthier life. So I like to be like in my family. I've got quite a big like, extended family. There's only like 3 of us out of like 50, which are properly like living a healthier lifestyle. 3 or 4 of us, which is not a lot. So if I can be like a leader in some way and show people the way, then yeah, that's that's what I want to do.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story, Ram. It's been quite the journey for you, and I look forward to seeing everything, all the positive stuff that you do with this newfound mind, body, and life of yours.
Thank you, mate. And just to say, man, I think RNT is a big game changer for everyone. I think you're doing like such a fantastic job. So thank you, and well done.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for supporting the journey.